And I've seen it presented several different ways. And so the material in this text presents joint variation as being just a combination of direct and inverse. Okay, but I've also seen joint being variation that's specified exactly. It would say, instead of saying it varies directly with this and directly with this, it would say varies jointly with. If all you see is it varies jointly with, then it means that both of the items that follow are direct variations, meaning they're going to go in the numerator of a fraction. Okay? But joint variation means you're going to have a mixture of the two. Okay? So what it says here is the quantity y varies directly with x and the square of z, meaning it's going to vary directly with both. You could have also seen that this could have been written as varies jointly with x and the square of z. They mean the same thing. And you're going to follow the same process. So you get y varies means y equals k times. Directly means the next thing that follows is going to be in the numerator. So x, so y equals kx, and the square of z. So the varies jointly means that they're all going to be direct unless it specifically says in the inverse of. So here's our general form. We then plug in the numbers that we have. So our y is 14 when x is 2 and z is 6. So there's the equation we're looking at. What we're going to do here is multiply these through. We get, or divide by 2 and 36. We're going to divide both sides by the same thing. So 2 and 36. Again, notice I left them as factors. Those cancel. 2 goes into 14, 7. Nothing cancels here, and so I get 7 over 36 is my k value. So here's my equation. Y equals 7 over 36, and then x is in the numerator, z is in the numerator. And so that would be my joint variation equation. And if I solve for this, what I'm going to do is get 7 times 8 times negative 2 squared all over 36. And if I simplify what I'm looking at here, 4 goes into 8 twice, or actually it's probably easier to do it this way. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 goes into 36 9 times. Nothing else cancels. 7 times 8 is 56 over 9. And so that would be my solution. All right, I'm going to, just because there's a couple minutes left, I'm going to go ahead and talk through these. So when you interpret this, you get y varies, so y equals k times. Directly means whatever follows is going to be a factor in the numerator, so x. Inversely means whatever follows is going to be a factor in the denominator, so the square of z. So here's my equation. I substitute in the values that I know. So 4 is equal to k times 12 times negative 6 squared. Simplify what I have. Negative 6 squared is 36. 12 goes into 36 3 times. Multiply both sides by 3. So I get my k value to be 12. I can write my equation y equals 12x over z squared. So there's my equation. And then I can substitute in. When I evaluate this, I get the x is negative 1, my z is 2. And so I get 2 squared is 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times the negative 1. I get a negative 3. Okay, and for the last question, I have y varies, so y equals k times, directly with the square of x, so x squared. Inversely means divided by the cube of z, so z cubed. So here is my equation. Substitute in my pieces. Negative 12 equals k times negative 3 squared over 5 cubed. When I multiply, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 125 over 9. 9 and 12 have a common factor of 3. And so when I simplify this, I get 125 times negative 4 is negative 500 over 3. There's my k value, giving me my equation y equals negative 500 over 3 times x squared over z cubed. So this is what your answers are going to display as, just because of the form that they're in, but you can write it all as one fraction too. And then when I evaluate, I get y is equal to negative 500 over 3, plug in my new values, negative 5 squared, negative 6 cubed. And when I calculate that out, I get a negative 500 times the quantity negative 5 squared, which is 25, divided by the quantity negative 6 cubed. And I get my answer here, 3,125 over 54. And that would be my solution.